Rawbush again. I want to show you the camshaft from the Briggs & Stratton. This is the stock camshaft made out of plastic. It's built on some 1/2-inch diameter bar stock. The intake lobe has been ground off, and as I spin this, you can see there's 2 lobes now for the exhaust. This was the stock, and this is a lobe that I've built up. So as it spins, it stays in sync and still spins half time or half RPM the engine, but now we have 2 exhaust strokes. So every time the piston is coming up, the exhaust valve is open. Every time the piston goes down, the exhaust valve is closed. I modified this, believe it or not. This is just a buildup of some JB Weld. There's a nylon bolt that was built on to the center. I don't know, we might be able to get a decent picture of that maybe. But in the very center there, I can try a pin, is a nylon bolt. Now that was shaved flat to fit onto the plastic shaft so that it would prevent sliding back and forth. That was super glued on and then packed with JB Weld in there nice and tight and let dry. And then there was a little corner still, like a hole. So what I did is I took some spring material out of a Bic lighter and put the spring in there as a filler. And then again packed JB Weld in. I believe that's the only reason why this thing is still working, is that it wasn't just one big clump of JB Weld. It's actually metal and plastic, and the JB Weld kind of just bonds everything together. So far so good. The only other issue I could see with this camshaft is if it does break, the lobe falls off or whatever, the engine should stall. It should just, fill up with back pressure or something, hopefully come to a halt. But what I've noticed, and you can't really see it in the camera, but this 1/2-inch bar is actually cut in half right in the center. Now it may not be completely cut, but I can see that it's got a V-notch cut pretty much all the way through, like it's a shear point. In the event something goes wrong in the motor, it would actually shear right there. So in the event when this one breaks, if it does, what I'm going to do is I have some other 1/2-inch stock that I found, and different bushings that can go on to the the 1/2-inch stock and would slide around. And what we'll do is we'll make a slip collar with the cam here and just make a new cam. Probably take something like this and squeeze it in half to get the far outside oval of a cam, something of that sort, and then it'll have a bearing or something. It's kind of critical that I keep this wheel, mainly because for one, it keeps time, but two, it also, when it's all together, it drives the oil pump. And I plan on using oil in here, so I'd like to maintain this stock oil pump. So I'm trying to keep this any way possible. I don't think it's possible to remove this shaft and push it onto another bar. I just don't see it possible. I'm sure it's going to break and snap in half, something if I try to take it apart. So I've just been trying to work with the shaft that I have. Yeah, other than that, quite simple there. This is the ticket to converting the 4-stroke motor into a 2-stroke. is by doing this double lobe. The other way that is possible, but would be a little bit more, require a lot more work, is to, this is the gear that actually drives it, that sits on the crankshaft, has a timing mark there, and then this timing mark here. But if you were to take these two gears, increase the size of the smaller one, and decrease the size of the larger one to both the same size and run a chain, then you could run 1-to-1 ratio. This setup here, this gear ratio, for every one time this turns, this only turns half. And that's your 4 strokes, so you can get the intake, compression, power, and exhaust. We just want power and exhaust. So we either match these to go 1-to-1, or we add a second lobe 180 across from the existing cam lobe. Now this isn't perfect, but it's darn close, and it seems to be close enough to make this motor work. So there's the camshaft. Some ideas. Any questions, you know, please feel free to ask. Thanks again, man. This is Rawbush.